Hey, I'm right back with another video, and I want to make this really quick because it's like 3 something in the morning. I went to bed around, I don't know, 7-ish or 8-ish, I don't know. So I told you I try to get as much sleep as I can, so I get up at intervals. So anyway, which I'm not really happy about, but anyway. So I was talking about my first video, part 2. This is part 2. I'm following up about how you watch these VH1 behind. Well, they're kind of old, but still, I mean, this is an example of how they make everything seem so tragic, because people go through all kinds of horrible things in their life. Okay. So they'll talk about, how this particular star or celebrity, struggled with, family problems, and they lost they lost their mom at an early age or something. So it's like, we all go through tragedies, okay? And I'm not trying to dramatize anything by any means, okay? But it is kind of an interesting realization, because I'm looking back and I'm thinking, oh, wow, all this makes sense now. So, you realize that you didn't have the support of your family. Most families are very supportive. Mine wasn't. Everything that I did was a reason for some sort of ridicule or whatever, and that is a tremendous amount of stress to put on a child, okay? So I realized that the things that didn't work out for me in my youth or whatever, there's a reason for it. And to me, this is a very eye-opening part of my life right now, where I'm starting to realize what exactly happened, and seeing all these other YouTube videos and seeing other people from families that have also stalked them, who've also did things to them that set them back and destroyed their life. And it's like, okay, it makes sense now. So I'm not in any way looking for sympathy on that level, although it is kind of sad, but at the same time it's kind of like, well, that makes sense. But I've always tried to raise myself up, but I realize now everything that kept me down is because of them. So it's just time to purge. It's like, this is ridiculous, right? I mean, how many years look how many years this has been going on. So today I was thinking, I'm just going to just talk about, these people that need to get out of my life and the reasons why. And, I'm just kind of like releasing these weird feelings, because this is what's really holding me back. It's making me feel, and it is, their hatred, their foolishness, their need to compete. My mother's issues about her own self-doubts have been transposed, or she's tried to transpose all her issues onto me, which is one of the reasons why those kids, her brats, have harassed me throughout all the years. And this is a lot of information that a lot of people write about, but you can also, it's written in a lot of books that relate to, dysfunctional families and whatever. And, hey, most people in America are dysfunctional. We're all dysfunctional in one way or another. But, it's not healthy for me. So now, get rid of those people. Get rid of the people like Polly. Get rid of people like Esther, who was uninvited in the first goddamn place. Sneaking around behind my back and doing all this. Okay, so I've already mentioned her. So all these people, I'm making some efforts to change my life, okay? And now I have to basically pick up the pieces and try to make sense of my life. And it's very hard, okay? It's very hard, but at the same time, it has to be done, because I don't have anything else to lean on, or I can't be, I have to support myself at this age, So there's anger there. There's anger, with my family, but I need, and then the fact that you get these people that you knew on Facebook who never wished you well. That's just a sign that they never wished you well. They never cared. They, and not that I expected them to, because believe me, the people on Facebook were more like, I'd pop in on Facebook every once in a while, and I'd say, hi, how are you? I thought that, since I knew them from high school, that, I wished them well. I never thought that if they got something, I never wanted to pick it apart or destroy their shit. But guess what? They want to destroy yours. So, you realize that people are not always looking out for your best interest, okay? So, I don't see any point in associating with people who don't want to, who show absolutely no concern for my well-being, okay? So, I don't feel bad about purging them from my life, okay? I make these videos because I'm in a state of shock, panic, and I'm alarmed that that this kind of stuff. I mean, these people are so foolish to just pick up and believe whatever. Well, especially when I think about how the Murrays and how Karen Johnson and all these other people got involved, and they think it's okay. It's not okay to exploit family abuse. It's not. It's not okay to abuse somebody just because they come from a family that's been known. See, they probably didn't even think about that. But they do. Here's one thing they did think about. They thought it was fun to harass somebody who is basically trying to make a living. And I had my son when I was in my 20s, okay, and then I'm getting harassed by Karen Johnson in my late 30s, and I'm getting harassed by Steve Murray in my late 30s, or my 40s, okay. It's old news, okay? Regardless, my family acts like they never did anything wrong, okay? Meanwhile, you got my brother-in-law and my niece from my sister who's they've got their own issues, you know what I mean? So why are you, the point is that they just feel like it's necessary to destroy my life when they have their own faults of their own. So anyway, my point is that the reason why we have stalking laws on the books is because this is very common, okay? And now I hope this sheds light on why, it's not okay to pick up that phone to play out or act out, certain scenarios from certain family members, or you're, trying to basically babysit somebody, like, a family member or whoever, stalker, is calling in, and you're spying on this person and you're reporting back to this person. I think it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous, and every single time that this has happened, it ends up in tragedy. This is, to me, I will say that this is tragic. This is a very tragic situation, for where a person has done everything that they could to be as upright as they could. They made a mistake in life, but I've made a mistake in life, okay? But nothing warrants this sort of behavior. It doesn't, okay? Everybody has made mistakes in life, and some people have made mistakes far worse than mine. I know a lot of men in this town who have kids, okay, who don't pay child support, okay? I know a lot of men who sell drugs, okay? I know some women who've had not just one child out of wedlock, but they've had several children out of wedlock, and they're from different fathers, okay? I learned from the first time, and I thought, okay, well, I will do the best I can, and that's what I did, okay? So, I think over the years, I have been unnecessarily treated, I've been treated unfairly and with contempt, for no reason, because it was fashionable, because it was the thing to do. There was a couple movies that I had seen. Actually, they're based on true stories. I think it's called The American Story, about the influence of abuse. And this girl, she goes to I guess her parents can't watch her or whatever, and so she goes to I think it's called American Tragedy or something. She goes to a lady who's going to watch her for a small amount of money each week, which I guess in the 1960s that was kind of a lot of money. But anyway, the lady wants to harass and torment this girl, and so everyone around her, they don't question whether doing this is right or wrong. They just participate in this girl's physical abuse, okay? Which there was some physical abuse from my siblings too. I mean, I remember my sister bashing my head against my bed, the bed railing and stuff like that, and she did get a little physical. But most of the time, my family's abuse was more verbal, a lot of put downs, a lot of attacking my character. But still, in this movie, you'll notice the herd mentality about how people will just join in, and watch the movie, okay? If you have time to watch this movie, I think it's on YouTube. I will put the link. I will look for the link and put it in the description box. And but what this movie illustrates, and well, like I said, it's a true story. But what these scenes illustrate is that no one really bothered to question whether she really deserved it or not, or anything. It was just like people will literally destroy a person just because everybody else is doing it without question. So people have to be careful about what they think, do, and say. And it's not just like, well, we were just having a good time. A lot of times employers, like in this case, my tyrannical boss, they think, well, a job is supposed to be fun. We're just having some fun. We're just goofing off. Okay, maybe they don't realize what's going on in the other end, okay? But I'm feeling the bullshit, okay? I'm the one who's getting sick. And I remember telling Karen, I told Karen, I said, you know what, I'm not, I remember there was this professional meeting that I went to in Northridge, and it was connected to my job. And I was basically saying, I don't like people who put me in the center of attention. I don't like being, overly focused on, because this was what's going on at my job, right? So I wanted to express that, because, like, how do you deal with that? So somehow the information gets back to Karen, and guess what Karen does? She amps up the negative attention. The same thing happened over at Steve Murray's place, okay? And yet, you're basically saying, hey, I'm being harassed at work. Could you please stop it? So they think it's funny, and they continue to do it. It's not funny. It affects people. It does, okay? It affects people. Like if somebody was doing this to your kid, you would make sure that you'd pull them out of that classroom. You would talk to the teacher and say, look, you're affecting my kid. It's going to affect my kid's grades. It's affecting his social life. You would talk to the teacher. And if they continue to do it, you would pull them out of that school. Period. Because you would know that that's just bullshit. You don't do that to somebody. Okay? So how do you expect somebody to go to work, take care of their responsibilities, pay their bills, put a roof over their head under that kind of stress, okay? Workplace bullying is serious. It is extremely serious, okay? And it's not something that people should take lightly, Now, for the people here in Bakersfield in general, who thought it was okay, I think a lot of people were enacting racism just because it was comfortable for them, okay? I'm not, whatever, we've already talked about that, okay? But bullying is bullying, and, I'm not even going to go into racism right now. That topic has been covered so many times, I'm just not even going to talk about it. But what my focus is that, how employers aren't thinking straight. They don't think about the ramifications of their actions, and their actions are that it's important, that they need to understand what they do, and understand that they need to operate within certain guidelines, and that it does affect people, and it's affected me. I mean, year after year, I could not figure it out. I kept thinking, what in the world is going on? There was nothing going on. It was just my family being stupidity of my family, and then my family, making a competitive issue out of this when my life should not be a competition, okay? And that's just what I'm saying. People like Laura Hill who think that, snuffing people out, blacklisting people, Laura Hill calling other agencies and networking with other people to keep me out. You hurt an innocent person, okay? And then you made a game out of somebody's life based on what? Something that you thought was true on Facebook, or because you thought it was fun to participate in my family's competition of their low self-esteem. You don't do that. And whatever Laura's case is, whether she did it for race, religion, or whatever, or she was doing it just so she could be a part of a collective group, and that includes Laura, Mary Landucci or whatever, you don't do those things. Okay, it's not ethical, it's not right, and it destroys people's lives. Here I am, almost a 50-year-old woman, and I'm thinking, oh my God, look at all of this. I shouldn't have a problem finding a job. I shouldn't. I should be able to fill out a resume, send in my resume, come in, talk about my skills, and I should be hired right there on the spot. Why? Because I work hard. You know what I mean? I'm a good worker. I shouldn't have to be like this. So I'm here at almost 50 years old, having to scrounge and beg for something basic, a basic office job, which is ridiculous, which is absolutely ridiculous. After 20 years, crazy. Yeah, so I have to release this. The feelings of abuse are very, very real, and then I'm feeling the effects of it, and so I'm trying to just release it all. As for so I mentioned the employers, I mentioned my family, I mentioned slightly touched on the topic of my son's father's family, and I'm also mentioned Piggy's family. So I want to move on from this, you know what I mean? So I know that I've got work to do. I need to get a better job. I need to be able to find my own place. You know, whatever happens first, whether I end up moving out first or whatever happens, whether I get the job first or whether I get the place first or whatever. I know that's my goal, okay? I need to get away from all the perps, okay? And I need to heal, and that's really important for me. So I'm going to wrap up this video, and I'm going to go back to bed, and I think that's about it. But I suggest that you watch that movie. It's a good movie, and it basically illustrates how abuse, people participate in abuse. It's like herd mentality being played out over and over and over again, okay? And there's several other examples. There's actually, I plan on doing a video later about mind control and group terrorism and that sort of stuff. And I wanted to throw in some experiments that were conducted by a psychologist. But that's going to take me some time to actually put all that together. And I wish I had like the skills, like some of these video experts. But I can just do the best I can. So wrapping up this video, I'm going back to sleep. Have a wonderful night. Bye bye.